and get my head around it and shake my head. I see the mass graves, and it's beyond belief.
Yeah.
One thing I want to just leave you all with at the very front end before we have a full audience is I've got a facial recognition company I've helped that's got the largest database of images in the whole world and an extraordinary capacity to match the faces of dead people, even people who died and are a few days decomposed, with other images to identify them. And we really want, the company wants to provide this to Libya right now for free if it can get somebody's attention. I've let the US Embassy know already, but if you know of anybody who's in a position to use that, they just put them in touch with me because the company is ready to do it. It takes 10 minutes to learn, 20 minutes to learn, and very easy to operate, an incredibly powerful tool.
That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to do this meeting, is to put people in touch and talk about how best we can help each other in this tough time. So.
Well, that's the only particular thing I've got to bring to the table that's special. But the company's called Clear, and they've done it in Ukraine, and it's been incredibly effective in Ukraine, identifying the dead, as well as people who've lost their memory or who aren't really who they say they are in the case of Ukraine. But it's worked.
That's really great.
Dr. Isam, I think we should start. It is 1 o'clock, and maybe we can. I know some of our guests from Libya are going to be a few minutes late because of the Maghrib time in Libya. It happened to be it's the same exact time as we starting, so they'll be joining us a few minutes late. But let me kick it off and say welcome to everyone. And just like Mr. Weiner said, that I hope that we are meeting under different circumstances, but here we are gathering. My name is Munjid Dawadi. I'm the Executive Director of the Libyan American Alliance. And we wanted to meet and have this discussion around the latest catastrophe that took place in Libya, that claimed the lives of so far more than 11,000 and counting, and more than 10,000 people are still missing. This is as Mr. Yahya said, it's nobody can express the magnitude of what just took place or what happened in Libya in words. So first of all, we would like to offer our condolences, our prayers, our thoughts with a lot of you who are here today, and with the rest of the Libyan people. And if you don't mind, we would like to take a few moments. We'll do a moment of silence for those of us from the Islamic tradition. We read the Fatiha, the opening of the book, in silence. So let's take a few moments and to reflect on this. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawm Din, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Thank you. So why don't I hand over the floor to Dr. Isam Amish to kind of frame this discussion for us. Again, while we are waiting for some of our guests, important guests that will be speaking to us from Libya. Some of them actually are in Derna and working with an extensive team on many different levels on helping us. So we wanted to hear from them on the magnitude of this calamity, of the challenges they're facing, and most importantly, how can we help from here? I know that we have guests from the State Department, probably a couple of people from the offices of the House Foreign Relations Committee are listening in, taking notes, and we will be following this event with other meetings that would be smaller in nature to discuss more in details, more specifically some of the organizations, NGO relief organizations here in the US, and also what the US can do to help and can offer. And I'm sure some of you will provide some information, valuable information, and we can put people in touch and connect them to each other so we can facilitate faster communication and hopefully faster help. Dr. Isam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Munji. Thank you, Omar. And thank you, everybody, for attending. May the peace and blessings of God the Almighty be upon those who perished, and may He be in the help and support of those who are in need of it. And may He bless and give strength to everybody who's doing everything they can to help with this. This happens to be a very painful moment and a very tragic event in Libya. In fact, I happen to be from Derna. My father is a former governor of the Green Mountain, Jabal al-Akhdar, and we have lost family as well, although not in the same magnitude as other families who've been completely wiped out. As you all realize, Derna has become the epicenter of the years of neglect and the sad realities that engulf Libya today. And so as we mourn the lost, and as we look for ways to prevent this tragedy from ever happening again, I think we're always ever reminded that this problem, unless addressed in a wholesome way in Libya, unfortunately can repeat its ugly face. We are encouraged by the unity that the Libyans have shown one another, and the capacity of love and support that has come forth. But I hope we can steer it towards more momentum and progress in that regard. I think one of the amazing things that has happened too, in terms of what we saw, is the massive support and compassion shown by people around the world. Certainly in Libya, there is stories that are amazing and may help us deal with this tragedy a little better, knowing that we still have capacity for love for one another and support for one another. But there's also very serious warning signs that we need to heed. So what we're doing today is we're coming together to consult, to engage, to give each other the needed support and wisdom, if you may, shared wisdom that allows us to do best for the victims in Derna, and to do best for the sustained effort that must continue in order to get Libya to where it is. In the United States, there's a lot of relief organizations that have come to the fore. Libyan Americans, as well as Muslim Americans, and as well Americans in general, have collected over $2.5 million from what I know between different organizations. And we have some representatives who have done some work in relief who may be updating us. My phone never stopped ringing with people who are willing and ready to help. Communities are just collecting to help and trying to figure out ways to do it. On the other hand, along with that, we saw the US government coming forth, announcing an initial investment or an initial gift, now doubling it 10 times over. Today, our US envoy and Ambassador Norland is in Libya, along with General Langley from AFRICOM, meeting with the head of the unity government there and the chief of staff, joint chief of staff, in order for them to figure out better ways to coordinate the care. US aid is reaching out, is doing what they can. And I know different branches of government are very much following and concerning, from the president himself, who from the get-go. Today, people are meeting in the UN. Secretary Guterres has spoken about Libya. Presidents from around the world have spoken about Libya. So there is a heightened sense of how we can do things better. We in the Libyan American Alliance don't do relief work, of course, as you know. We are an advocacy organization, but we want to coordinate. We want to bring people together. We want to bring our people from the ground in Libya to be able to connect with anybody and everybody who is doing some work to help Libya. And in particular, I believe our government in Washington can do much more and can do a lot in order to facilitate the safety of those who want to involve in relief, make sure that if work is effective, that it's going in the hands of people who will be held accountable, people who are gonna get the aid where it belongs, and at the same time, people who will invest in this work towards the stability of Libya. And we also are engaging our counterparts of those who want to do relief work in Libya, so that hopefully our government and those who are able facilitate their help and make sure that they are connected with the right people in Libya. Lastly, I would say that the real actors who are today on the ground in Darna and in the areas that are affected, many of them will be with us. In particular, folks who have gained the trust of officials as well as the local people. They're dealing with leaders on the ground from the community itself, from Darna and from other local communities, but they're also people who have been effective on the Libyan scene to try to do some work. Hopefully that engagement and that work will be very productive and helpful to move forward. And we are committed to that continued effort to remain a bridge between our two countries, maximize the good that we can do through the networks and the relationships, and certainly hope that we will see Libya move forward towards a better day where no further darnas and no further calamities like this happen. Thank you very much, Munji. Thank you, Mr. Weiner, for being with us, and other folks who are joining us from the government and from the relief organizations and from Libya on the ground, and so forth and so on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Issam. Without spending too much time, let's go to Mr. Weiner and hear your perspective. What are you hearing from the different folks you're talking to, you're meeting with, discussing issues with regards to Libya, and remind us about the latest initiative that you said you're offering, that you personally are working on this.
Well, it's too much to say I'm working on an initiative. I know that there are governments who are looking at the gaps in the integration of assistance. Past efforts to do development assistance to Libya have fundamentally failed on the ability of the Libyan side to respond to international offers in a way that then created next steps. It was just constantly shoes dropped, things not followed up. And so the question becomes, what's the best way in the emergency to have Libyans work together, to have internationals able to work with Libyans together in a coordinated fashion that gets the job done for people locally. And so at the ground level, you identify first needs, and then you identify the urgency of the need, and you start looking at who's going to provide the response. Then you start finding gaps in response mechanisms. You kind of build it from there, but it all has to start locally. You've got to have people on the ground as much as possible, who in turn are hooked up with national capitals and with UN institutions in particular. UNSMIL is not well suited to deliver assistance, but it's affiliated with institutions in the UN, mostly based in Switzerland, which can do it pretty effectively. UNHCR, UNDP, only a couple of the majors. Similarly, there are EU countries that are on the Mediterranean. This should not be a surprise to anyone. And Italy and France, in particular, should be well positioned. And that's not to ignore Turkey or Spain either, to provide help quickly. And the question is, what's needed? Is it entirely onshore? Is it deliveries of goods? Is it to fill the healthcare crisis, which has been going on so long, even before what just happened in Derna? Derna had essentially no effective healthcare systems. And because it's been so much political infighting over so long, over who's going to control territory, those controlling the territory have given less attention and thought to what governance is required in the areas they control, how you actually deliver goods and services. And one of the things that I worry about, there's opportunity here and there's risk, and the opportunities for Libyan institutions and people to come together for the common good to help the people of Derna. And the risk is that the people of Derna are going to be so thoroughly fed up with what was just happened to them, in part as a result of governmental and political decisions, some recent and some long-term, that they just say, throw everybody out. And while certainly Libya needs to have a new generation of effective leaders provide governance, in the near term, you have to rely on what is. and figure out how to leverage them. Now, for the United States and for European governments, for instance, in the vicinity of Libya, and for any country that is going to engage, it's a question of constant consultation, and they'll do that. But the question of who is the convener is going to be an important question that they're going to have to work out very, very fast, and how that gets organized. For Libyans, the job, it seems to me, in addition to doing the work at the local level and defining the needs, is to communicate facts and information by every means they possibly can. So people like me who aren't on the ground, who are so far away from reality, by being located where we're located, get authentic information about where what's working now, what isn't working, and what they see as what needs to happen next. When Washington does a good job, it's because it's getting accurate information from the field and then responding to that information. And when Washington does a bad job, it's because they're getting accurate information from the field and for bureaucratic reasons don't want to listen, or the information they're getting from the field is no good. It's too many levels and they're not getting enough of the nature of actual reality. I know that the United States government's goals here are fully aligned with what would be a good humanitarian support for the Libyan people. Capacity is a different question. There's the Conflict and Stabilization Office, there's USAID. Those are two of the places to go, but they're not the only ones. And our embassy, our Libyan External Office, and our special envoy will, I know, be working as night and day. And I know for a fact that they're absolutely inundated in an effort to try and keep everything together and respond. They're flat out at the Libya External Office, which means they're doing their job as best they can, but nobody's capacities are equal to the current moment. The question is, what can we do to increase people's capacities? I'm going to stop there after saying how sorry I am that the people of Derna have had to go through one more this additional tragedy on top of all the other stresses they've experienced over the decades, even before the uprising, but certainly since the uprising, pretty much nonstop. It's awful, and to lose family members and not to be able to identify them and take care of them is just a terribly searing, painful thing for families to deal with, for those who are lost. And I don't know what else there's to say about it other than anybody with a heart should be able to feel it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Thank you very much for those words. And that's why we're here.
Good afternoon, Munji.
Yes, Dr. Mahmoud, I was actually going to call on you to speak next. So why don't you go ahead? Dr. Mahmoud, go ahead.
You need to unmute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Munji and Islam. Abdul also, Mr. Jonathan. Good afternoon. Anyway, it's a sad days, we can say. We have never expected that we will go through this tragedy. We are helpless, as a matter of fact. You know the situation in Libya because of the division and this political and fighting that takes things very bad in managing the crisis. Anyway, there are some, of course, the Libyan people get united, and these emotions. It has a positive effect, but it cannot help much because the management is still out of reach. Management of the crisis. I heard Jonathan was talking about he might help by he knows a friend who or a company or an institution that will help identify the dead people That's very important. Jonathan, I will.
Anyone should just email me, contact.
Yes, I will.
And
email
I will put anybody who's got the ability to use that information in touch with the CEO of the facial recognition company who wants the service to help Libya immediately.
Yeah. I will. After this meeting, I will join. I will email you, Jonathan, and we will try to do our best in this matter, inshallah.
Please.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes. But anyway, now we need we need an intervention, and I mean United Nations intervention, or let's say the world intervention, because I think in 2011 the world, maybe the Western, most of the Western countries, maybe NATO, intervened in Libya to help the civilians. We're still in the same situation. Because of we have, we are not really governing well. We have a problem of either in, especially in the east part. In the west, yes, there is also problems. There is maybe corruption. But in the east part, we have really a big problem, especially now that this area is ruled by a dictatorship, and now they are trying to go back and manage. I mean, trying to they try to manage this crisis, but they fail. I'm sure they are failing, and they will fail because they don't use the proper tools to manage this crisis. So that's why I just want to hear what you can offer, especially from your side, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahmoud, and I'm glad you were able to join us. Hang in there, and we'll be discussing some hopefully helpful tools. I see Dr. Idris. Can you unmute yourself, Dr. Idris?
Yes. Well, good to see everyone. The crisis is really beyond imagination. It's something that shocked the whole country. But I'm not going to speak about the size of the disaster because now everybody knows about it. It's really incredible.
Dr. Idris, can you briefly introduce yourself? Just because we have many who are listening now, they might not know who you are.
Okay, my name is Idris Traina. I am based in Misrata right now. I am a Libyan American who used to live in California, and I am an academic, and I worked as an engineer in software companies in California for like over 25 years or so. And then I came back after the revolution, came back here and stayed here since then. It was just visit the US once in a while. The issue, what really shocked me is the response of the people here when the crisis happened. It was really amazing that people forgot all about the political differences that they have. And I know for a fact that here, it happened, we were discussing political stuff here because we belong to an organization called Hirak, 17th of February. But what happened is that night, we were, the news came while we were meeting. It was 2:30 in the morning, and interestingly enough, it is not the doing of anybody, but it happened to be the same date that 9/11 happened in the States. So except here, there is no, unfortunately, that phone number that you can call for emergencies. So people were really, in complete, shock. And in the same day, in the morning, there were several trucks that was, took off from where I am in Misrata and from all the cities in the West to go there. And people who went there are actually sometimes people who were, affected by the war on Tripoli, or themselves, participated in defending Tripoli. So, and the same day also, one of our, members, he had a plane go to first plane that arrives in Labrag Airport, close to Derna, took off from Misrata. And people really didn't care about anything else but to show, their support at this difficult times for the people of Derna. So I feel this is something that is something positive that I hope that will turn to do something and will get out of this political stalemate that we are in, and help that. So that's something that gives us some hope. With as big as the problem is, the disaster, the humanitarian issues, we have people there who are left from the first day on that plane. Some of them came back and some they are still there. There are over 30 people from different ways, the medical, humanitarian, collecting divers also, and drivers went here, took from on trucks and on the plane. So there is a and it's unprecedented wave that of people who go there and trying to help. But unfortunately, there isn't enough know-how of how to help and how to go about these, especially about the bodies and the corpses, all of that are in the sea and are spread all over the place. The water went into took off, it's swept whole buildings with like 5-6 stories building were swept completely with their everything. There's nothing left but just the dust on the ground, and we're pushed to the sea. So it's really amazing. But what I'm hoping for is that something good comes out of this disaster, and we end the stalemate and start rebuilding Derna. And I am really moved when I see people in the East, how they they received the people who came here. They were hugging them, they were showing a lot of emotions, and this is really the basic message that we should, I think, that we should insist that something positive that keeps this unity and go hopefully to elections. That's the basic thing. So I think people now are, they don't want to continue all of this and they want elections. And we think as our movement here that the parliamentary election is the way to go. Forget about the presidential election because it's going to be very, it's impossible to have and to recognize the results. So that's what we're doing here. And we have, I don't know if Brother Mustafa Shawish, is he there?
I don't see
because
him
he's in Derna.
Right.
Naam?
That's, I wanted to hear from him because he's,
because he's there. If he's not there, we have also Dr. Mohsen Dereja. Is he there also? Maybe he can, because he was there in Derna.
Omar, if they are, can you bump them into speaker if you see them on the list?
I can. I'm monitoring it right now.
Okay, excellent. So why don't I go to
we have here, I'm sorry, we have here Sheikh Khalifa Zwawi and Brother Abdsalam Fakroun, who is really, he's really 24 hours.
We're losing connection with you, Dr. Idris.
I'm sorry?
We didn't hear the last 10 seconds.
There are several brothers here. There is Sheikh Khalifa Zwawi, who was like the first mayor after the revolution, the temporary council, and he's well recognized, and he's the head of the February 17th movement, and brother also Abdul Salam Fakroun, who is really, he's preparing all the stuff that goes from here to Tobruk. And this is happening in every city, but in Misrata, Brother Abdsalam is really 24/7. Whenever I come here to the place, he's here working on things, sending people for the divers, for food, for this, everything you can imagine. He's working 24/7 to prepare the help that goes out there. Sheikh Khalifa, if you can give
yeah,
me the speaker.
let's hear a couple
Also,
minutes
I'm
from
sorry,
Sheikh
I have
Khalifa.
also said Mahmoud Rfaida, who is responsible for I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, he's a journalist and he's with us here. So.
Okay. Let's hear from them for like 1 or 2 minutes each.
Yeah, the Sheikh Khalifa Zoy. Go ahead, Sheikh. Go ahead.
Dr. Isam, I think he might need some translation.
I'll briefly translate what he said.
Thank you.
السلام عليكم دكتور.
عليكم السلام
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
حياكم الله.
تحياتي لكل الإخوة اللي موجودين معك.
الله يحييك أستاذ خليفة.
أهلا وسهلا.
بارك الله جهودكم يا دكتور عصام.
الله يحفظكم ويبارك فيكم. شكرا.
فيك دائما أنت متألق بصراحة، والإخوة اللي معك إن شاء الله ميزان حسناتكم وعملكم طيب. تفضل استاذ عصام، احنا حاضرين
لا الله يحفظك، احنا بس ناخذ كلمه ان شاء الله من طرفك، الله يحفظك ونترجمها على السريع ان شاء الله، ما في مشكله. حياكم
الله. بخصوص ما يجري يعني ولا
نعم يعني بالضبط، يعني وجهه نظر، يعني اي كلام تريد ان توصل لي. عندنا مسؤولين امريكيين موجودين في الجلسه، عندنا بعض الاخوه في العمل الاغاثي وابناء الجاليه الليبيه الامريكيه ايضا
يعني ما يتعلق بالازمه اللي نمر بها الان يعني.
نعم.
المساعدات اللي
طبعا لا شك ان ما حصل بتاريخ فجر 11 سبتمبر كان امر مؤلم ومذهل، كانت كارثه بحجم ضخم جدا. مدينه درنا للاسف الشديد القاطع الكبير منها اصبح عباره عن مدينه اشباح للاسف الشديد، مباني، عمارات، مساكن، سيارات، كلها تم ألقى بها الفيضان في البحر. طبعا السبب هذا هي كارثة طبيعية لا شك، ولكن السبب البشري كان موجود، وستتكشف التحقيقات عن أخطاء بشرية هائلة تتمثل في إهمال صيانة السدود لفترات طويلة، تراكم الطمي في هذه السدود، غزارة المياه اللي نزلت طبعا بمعدل حوالي 214 مليمتر، وحجم ضخم جدا. البنية المتهالكة في السدود للأسف كانت من الأسباب الجوهرية في انهيار سد درنا والسدود المجاورة له. طبعا تكشف ذلك الصباح عن مأساة إنسانية ضخمة، عشرات يعني ما يقارب، بعض التقديرات تصل بالاضرار الى البشريه ما يقارب.
اعطيه الاستاذ عسام يترجم شويه.
اي ماشي تفضل.
لا مستوعب ان شاء الله. Mr. Swawi is the head of the public forum that is working to help different aspects in Libya. He's talking about the gravity of the problem. Of course, he's talking about the calamity that has befallen Darna. But in addition, he is also pointing out to some of the man-made mistakes and challenges that have resulted in this calamity as well, and the need for us to look into and be able to avoid these problems in the future. تفضل سيدي.
الواقع أن المأساة تكشف ذلك اليوم على مأساة بحجم ضخم جدا. طبعا مأساة بهذا الحجم لا شك أن الإمكانيات المحلية تعجز على مواجهتها، خاصة أن الأمر تم خلال ساعات محدودة يعني، ففرص النجاة لكثير من الضحايا كانت ضئيلة جدا. العثور على أحياء كان بأرقام ضئيلة، يعني لا تكاد تذكر أمام الضحايا الذين يعني ذهبوا وانتقلوا إلى رحمة الله إن شاء الله. الأضرار المادية كانت ضخمة. طبعا الملفت في الأمر أن هبة الناس يعني والشعب الليبي بشكل كامل، يعني ممكن في ظرف 24 ساعة كانت الإغاثات والفزعة والناس تتقاطر من كل مدن ليبيا، من جنوب البلاد وغرب البلاد، جميع كل حتى الخلافات اللي كانت تشكل حاجز بين منطقة الشرق الليبي والغرب الليبي تلاشت واندثرت في الأيام القليلة الماضية لهول ما حصل، لأن دائما المصائب لما تتعاظم تجمع النفوس للأسف الشديد. ولكن ربما الجانب المضيء في ما حصل هو تكاتف الليبيين في مواجهة هذه الأزمة. كذلك كثير من دول العالم طبعا هبت لنجدة الليبيين، وخاصة العمل تركز على استخراج الجثث، على مواجهة أزمة النازحين، عملية تقديم الإغاثات بكل ما يحتاجوه من أدوية وأطعمة وغطاء وملابس وكل هذه الأمور. طبعا هذه الأمور لدرجة أن ربما في بعض أصناف الحاجات تكدست حتى ما فيها ما زاد على حاجة تلك المدن المنكوبة. طبعا هذا جانب إيجابي، ولكن تقعد الأزمة آثارها النفسية والدعم النفسي. طبعا هذه أشياء لا شك أنها ستتأخر، في حين أن هي من الأشياء الجوهرية والمطلوبة خاصة في هذه المرحلة. يعني عوائل بكاملها، ربما في العائلة اللي زاد منها شخص أو اثنين، وفي اللي يعني طويت بالكامل، الآثار النفسية ضخمة خاصة على أهل درنا ومجاورها، سوسة وبطة وهذه المناطق البيضاء كذلك. ولكن حجم المأساة كبير، يحتاج ربما لشهور يعني لتدارك الأمر في الأوضاع المستعجلة، وربما يحتاج لسنوات للخروج من هذه المأساة الإنسانية الضخمة.
بارك الله فيك أستاذ خليفة. In short, it is a talk about the gravity of the lack of infrastructure in facing magnitude of this natural disasters, but it's also matched by, or at least showing signs of hope and unity among the Libyans, where East and West have come together really to, at the time of calamities. It showed a lot of goodwill between the two sides of Libya, and that can be cultivated. But that shouldn't take us away from the fact that the magnitude of the problem, today we're focusing on identifying the dead, in taking care of those who have been displaced. There is caravans of support that are coming. In some places, even there is excess of the support because of how extensive and strong. But that shouldn't make us forget the fact that unfortunately this calamity will have its aftermath. There's a lot of psychological and social implications. There are families that were completely wiped out. There are families who only have few members of their family left, and so there's a lot of extended support that is needed. Overall, I think that is a microcosm of what's going on in Libya, and we're very grateful. الحقيقة شاكرين جدا أستاذ مستشار خليفة ما قمتم به من جهود وما يقوم به إخواننا هناك، ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعني فعلا يلهم الليبيين أن يتوحدوا وأن يعملوا على بناء مستقبل أفضل لليبيا. الله يفتح عليك.
بارك الله فيك دكتور.
شكرا أستاذنا. الله يفتح عليك.
شكرا أستاذ خليفة. شكرا دكتور عصام for the translation. Thank you. I would like to move the discussion a little bit more to practicality. I want to kick it off by actually, there's an excellent question that was posted by Ala. It says, thank you for hosting this webinar. I came so late. I have missed some information. I have a few questions considering the scale of the crisis and the need for ongoing humanitarian support, short-term, medium, and long-term. From what I'm observing, it seems that most of the support on the ground is coming from the Red Crescent and Scouts movements. Number one, what's your sense on who is supervising the humanitarian relief and support? Which body is responsible for this, and who is providing the most effective need and support? Second question, so many of us in the diaspora would like to support, donate supplies and goods, specifically to those who will be IDPs and others. Are there reliable needs assessments from what our most vulnerable populations will need. 3, the situation in Derna is very fragile and sensitive, especially considering the latest communication blackout following citizen protests calling for accountability and justice. How can we support relief while navigating sensitive political situation on the ground? Those are, I think, excellent questions that we could probably center the next few minutes to maybe answer some of those questions and concentrate on the last one.
Maybe Dr. Tajuri can highlight some of the relief work that's being done.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Munji, and thank you, Dr. Assam Amish, for this opportunity. Definitely, we are experiencing an epical catastrophic event in our city, Derna. I don't know if everyone knows, but myself and Isam goes back to the origin, and the roots of our family goes back to Derna. So we are talking about, we missed family members, we lost family members, and a lot of them are missing right now. Okay.
Continue. Please mute your microphones if you're not.
All right. So we were very impressed by the response from West Libya, which came immediately to the rescue of Derna, destroying or removing all the barriers between the two sides of the country and building bridges after all the conflict that we saw. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to my first cousins in Derna, and after saying that, thank God that we saved, and yes, we lost some family, but Dr. Yahya, the biggest surprise that we experienced today is the amount of support that we got from the West is amazing, and reflects the unity of this country despite all the differences. Now, as we saw on the support on the ground and the support of the international community that rescue, we have to understand that the health system in Libya was one of the, and I was not going to say anything, but one of the worst, probably there a dysfunctional health system that came into, and the catastrophe came to it. Now, on from our, there's two organizations that I represent. The first one is Hope Internationals, that is a Libyan organizations that existed since the 1990s, and also a family organization that is ICU Foundations. And there was an appeal that went out, and alhamdulillah, we received a great response from that appeal, and we collected a good amount of money, exceeded 200 grants. Now, I'm glad that there is some officials from the American government, because I want to see, show, or I want to talk about the barriers that we are experiencing on the ground today. As everyone knows, that we, as a local NGO in the United States, we cannot transfer any money from us to Libya directly. We have to go through an NGO that have a contract with the USAID that will receive this amount of money and take it to Libya. And in Libya, we are in a process of searching for an NGO that it's recognized by the Libyan government that can help us distribute that aid. This is so these are taking a longer route, and I was shocked that we were not able to even work with the with the Red Crescent, Libyan Red Crescent, and the U.S. aid. According to them, they said the Red Crescent of Libya is a government organization, and we cannot, and it's not an NGO, so we have to do it. The other barrier that we are also seeing, there is no a central control site that we can talk directly to and link. Everybody is working in their own and haphazardly, and I think that is that reflects on how much of support that got into Darna, and people did not even have enough storage or for this all these donations, and some of that have to go back or redistributed or even get discarded for that. One of the barriers that I get from the ground is also the interference of the military. I will encourage the U.S. government to put the pressure on the Eastern government to and the military to stay away from the donation and the support, to allow us to move freely and to help the people in the ground. I would like to see also some agreement between the U.S. and recognizing the Red Crescents as a distributor in the ground, that we will be able directly, instead of going through several routes to go inside Libya, to go directly to Libyan. One of the issues that have been told over and over and over, psychological support. We do not, the psychiatric and psychological institutions in Libya are really below the standard of the rest of the world, and we are trying to find enough specialists that can donate their time and receive some medications to support those survivor. As a matter of fact, we noticed and we were told of several suicide attempts on the ground. The people are too devastated, and they just don't want to live anymore once they lost their beloved families. So these are the other thing is we are working on two things, and we're working on the long term. We don't want to work on the immediate term, because there is enough support in the ground right now, but we worried about the displaced families, and there are several families got displaced to Benghazi, Misrata, Tarablus, and these people completely lost whatever they have. So we want to have a system that can support this family on a long term. So in summary, we do have good donations, but number one, we need the support of the American government, how to deliver this in a straight, direct, with less overhead. We need to have the ability to deal with local NGO in Darna and the east part, so we can directly communicate with them. We need them to recognize the Red Crescent as an NGO that we can work with them. The Boy Scouts or the Scout system is great, but it's not an NGO that the American government recognize. And we would like, I would love to see, and I cannot encourage enough, please put all the pressure on Mr. Hefter and his army or militias to stay away. Until today, we've been getting a lot of phone calls of caravans getting close to Sirte, and then they stop them there and they ask them to unload the caravan, take them to the military, and some of them disappear, or some of them got to Derna on the name of the military supporting the ground. So thank you for very much for the opportunity, and I hope I got some of the picture given.
Well, those are excellent points, Dr. Yahya. Fantastic, and hopefully people will take notes, and we'll include them in some kind of a recommendations directly to the SAD government, to SAD and other government agencies. Is the Islamic Relief here, Dr. Isam? Do you see?
No, unfortunately,
Not yet,
they're
okay.
in remote areas, so they were unable to join us. But
Because I wanted them to piggyback on what Dr. Yahya was talking about, some of these difficulties and how Islamic Relief, from their experience, navigate through those challenges. But if not, Dr. Idris, who do you have? I know that you have somebody in Derna that can maybe join us briefly, even if they need some translation, we can help.
Mustafa is in Derna today, Mustafa Shaush. Can't see people who are joining, so I don't know if he's in or not. Otherwise, Mohsen Dereja is also, he was there in Derna, and he can give. But I just want to mention one point that's very important, which is the fact that nowadays, in the beginning, aid was coming from the west and the south, and it was not stopped. But now Haftar's militia is trying to actually control, and while there is a need to organize, which we recognize, but unfortunately it's not done in a good way, and then sometimes they prevent the aid. They want to control everything by them. They're asking people just to leave your stuff here in Sirte, and then they take care of it. You just go back home, and people don't trust what happened to the donations that they are carrying. So that's something that's is Brother Mustafa or no? I don't see him.
No, unfortunately, we don't see them. Maybe they're having a hard time joining. But if we can get the journalist perspective also, Munji, we have Abdul Qadir Lignayan, and we have.
I don't know if Malik also is here. Malik.
Yeah, the journalist.
Dr. Abdul Qadir, if you go ahead, we'll hear from you, and then I'll go to Malik.
Yeah, okay. Tony.
But if you're not speaking, please put your microphone on mute so we can hear.
We can mute them. Yeah, we're good.
Go ahead.
السلام عليكم everybody. First, عظم الله أجركم جميعا. هذا يعني عزانا جميعا، تعزى جميعا، ليس فقط أهل درنا. I send my condolence and sorry for everybody, not just for Derna people, because this catastrophe affect everybody, and you know that everybody has connection to Derna, and this is somehow affected in everyone from every city. Anyway, I am in one of the rooms of which monitoring the relief in Derna, and I just let you know what's going on there and what's issue they're facing. But first, before I say that, I want to talk about what the victim wants. They have a statement, they publish it, and so first of all, they want, because this catastrophe is beyond imagination, beyond the ability of any government alone. So they want everybody to stay in Derna and not leave them, because they cannot. So they asking, please, for everybody, for every humanitarian aid, for every rescue mission, for every government, please don't leave us alone. So this is very important, because we heard because of the security situation, I'll say this, and there is some rescue mission left there and left the ground there. Anyway, this is one very important, that they want all the mission there to stay there. Please don't leave us. Second thing, one of their right, which is the human right, they want to know what's happened, because it's not about like the dam is bad situation, or because they live with this for a long time. When the dam level raise, they will know, and if they know the dam level is high, they will lift their homes. But nobody, so they want international investigation in this exactly, because no one tell them what's the situation of the dam. And this is, it's not because the government steal because of money or because there is lack. No, it's only if they know the level of the dam reach this danger level, they will lift automatically their home. Or if somebody tell them to leave their home, and this is the responsibility for many agencies there. Okay, and because again, I said, because the security situation, this situation get conflicted and get confused, and they don't, also another thing, they don't want a scapegoat. They want the one who is really responsible for this catastrophe. Because now we've seen in the local media, and there's some scapegoats want to blame for this catastrophe. They need an international investigation led by the UN. Okay, another thing very important, and this is also their right. The people of Darna live there in many hundreds of years, and they have a lot of memories, a lot of history there in Darna. And this catastrophe whipped out a lot of their memories. So they don't want to leave. They don't want to move them to somewhere else. They don't want. So they asking for what you call temporary shelter, temporary buildings. And we saw that in, for example, in the earthquake in Turkey. They built immediate shelters beside where is the earthquake happened. So if they want, if this international community, if USA or if the UN can help them with close to the area affected, and they move there temporary until this area rehabilitated again. And also one of the things that caused all this situation is delaying of the elections. And this problem, they said, it's a problem in the making. And we may see another problem somewhere else in Libya, not just Darna. Because of this division, because of this security situation, because of the controlling of one individual, and they not allowed for Libya to go ahead and go with. So they want the international community, they want the UN, the US, everybody who has the ability to put some pressure on the eastern side, that they want to go to election, and may Allah prevent another future catastrophe like this in Libya. So that's all. I think that's the point.
Thank you.
But for the situation there, yes, there is a lot of pressure on the journalists, a lot of pressure on the demonstration. There is a lot of pressure on the humanitarian aid. And the reason, because of the security situation, because I don't want to say militia, the military is controlling things. The military don't know. They want also the control of this humanitarian aid holds this situation to be controlled by professional people. Because the people who doing now the management of this situation, they don't have the basic knowledge of how to manage such situation. Thank you guys very much. I hope that
very excellent points. Let's move to Malik. Malik is the reporter from Al Jazeera English, and I know you've been following this closely, Malik. So give us a view of what is there, who's managing what, and what are the challenges you're seeing from where you are.
First, just peace and blessings be upon you all. Just briefly, I'm a Libyan American, the son of a dissident of the Gaddafi regime. So when I was raised in America, I was raised with the values of that people need to live freely and be able to express their opinions. And and their political beliefs freely. So in 2011, I came in and part of the humanitarian efforts, and I stayed. You know, Libya is also my country, and I wanted to help in any way I can. I started working with media organizations, and that's how I've become a journalist. What I'm seeing now is that there's a control of information trying to happen. So, you know, journalists haven't been able to work freely, especially international journalists in Eastern Libya for many years. And I think, you know, authorities in the East wanted to benefit from this crisis politically. They found it in their interest to let international media in. And we just saw the floodgates open, right? So many teams were coming in. It was a human story. And then when, you know, some journalists, as we do, start telling the stories of people, telling their, you know, their angers, who's, you know, the questions, who's responsible, how we're doing the people. We started seeing stories that were not in certain people's interests, you know, that were against political leaders and stakeholders. And so that's why we ended up seeing, you know, journalists being ordered to leave the area. So at the moment, you know, communications are down. People don't know what's happening, especially after these protests. We've spoken to officials, you know, I mean, it's hard to say that, you know, that this shutdown of the communication systems and the foreign media isn't because of the protest, but I mean, you know, according to the authorities in the East, it was because journalists were impeding the search and rescue operations, and now they're saying that the communications are down because of technical difficulties and that they're working on it. I think it's important.
Malik, talk a little bit about the protest. Was that an organized protest? Was there behind it certain groups or anything, or was it organic?
From everything that I've seen, it was organic. I mean, these are people that are extremely angry. You have, you know, thousands of people missing. Authorities, neither in the West or the East, were able to act quick enough, and they're still not acting quick enough, despite there is international aid and search teams coming in, but I think just the scale of the disaster is just so immense that they're not able to begin or to handle the recovery operations fast enough. So people are angry after dealing with that initial shock. They're extremely angry. They're extremely frustrated. And we also saw we've seen the response from officials, especially, I mean, here in Western Libya, Abdel Hamid Dbeiba, the internationally recognized prime minister, you know, he had a meeting with the officials, and he spoke quite frankly that this is, you know, our fault, that we should have addressed these dams. You know, now that we know, we should address them. Of course, he is, many will say responsible, partly, that his government should have been working on this when he came to power, and his you know, Awdat al-Haya, rebuilding of life. But in the East, it wasn't as sympathetic or empathetic with the people in Derna. I mean, you know, people were saying this is God's will. No, it's nobody's fault. This is God's will. And, you know, people also, you know, the deputy minister of Interior and military officials were just saying, no, the situation is okay. And I think it's, you know, for people in Derna, it's not okay. What happened was not okay. And so those emotions became, you know, very angry. And I think everybody knows that in Eastern Libya, people aren't able to express themselves freely. There's a lot of fear there. And so this protest in Derna was definitely something organic. I mean, just people coming together There's dozens of international media.
He has a weak connection, Munji, so I think he may have.
Yeah, I think we've lost Malik for a moment.
I think Mr. Al-Qasir from the human rights side.
Ahmed, if you can unmute yourself and
Sorry about that. My connection isn't very good.
okay. Malik, why don't you wrap it up? Like, give us your last thoughts before we lose you again.
Yeah. Okay. So look, I think.
Well, there you go. All right, Ahmed, I think the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum jami'an.
Alaikum salam.
Good evening or good afternoon to everybody else. I would like to speak about 3 points regarding the urgently needed help and support, technical support especially. One is that
Mr. Ahmed, could you introduce yourself briefly so everybody knows who you are?
My name is Ahmed Al-Qasir. I am a Libyan Swiss citizen here, based in Switzerland, and the founder and senior human rights analyst at the Human Rights Solidarity Organization. Darna, before this calamity, the three sources that it, the two sources that it relied on for its water supply is the desalination plant, an old desalination plant in the west part of the on the coast, on the west side of the city. I don't know if it has been damaged or not, but I know from previous research we did in the area there that it needs urgent repair works, and it was working, I think, about 40% of capacity, or even less. And the second source is the water wells in the highland behind the south of the city, and the area of Boumansour and Al-Fatayah, and together they were supplying, like, I think 80% of the needs of the city, and so that there were people who they had their own dug their own wells. Now with the overflow of the water and the sewage water, all the water system is now contaminated, and people now relying on water being brought mainly through the sea or by the trucks, but the trucks, many of the roads have been swept or undermined by the floods. So they
Did we lose Ahmed? Mr. Ahmed, unmute yourself and come back again if you can.
and I'm muted.
Yeah, we lost you for
You're
a few
back.
seconds.
Okay.
You're back. Go ahead.
Okay, so the urgent need is for rehabilitating the desalination plant so that it can provide, I mean, like a supply point where local trucks or even people, they can bring their cars and bring their containers to get water. This is very, very badly needed, because now they are the water supply is very, very scarce, and also until they flush the water supply system, then they can the water from either from the wells or from the salination plant can feed the city. This is one point. Second point is the valley, the Wadi Darna. The destruction of the two dams, which were dams for protection of the city, not for holding water for agriculture use or anything. So they were just they were there so that they can contain or limit the flow of the water when they have sudden storms or irregular raining season. And I mean, the area is now unprotected, so they need to clear at least clear a path in the wadi so it doesn't hold water, and that it whenever it rains, it can go downstream to the sea. The repair work will take a long time. I know of that. I'm quite sure of that. I mean, they have a small water, small valley called the Red Valley, or Al Wadi Al Hamar, the Red Wadi that is east of Sirt, which was the road there was swept by a storm, December 1985, and until today it has not been repaired. There's another thing, but the thing is that they really should have help in clearing the path of the wadi so it does not, prevent water from flowing, and also, just some protective measures. There are very good experts there in the city who know the situation, and they can help with it. The third point is the housing. They are very much of urgent need for units, and I think the short-term solution is mobile homes, small, that can at least shelter people, especially that now winter is coming up, and I think until they rebuild their homes and so on. So these are the three areas I think that they need support for, especially the water. The water is really biting them. I mean, I get complaints from people there about it, that they are in dire need for it. These are the 3 points of the. But just a last point: the governing of the aid work and the reconstruction and so on. I really and support the need for international oversight or supervision, and this is not because of my political affiliation or anything, and that the HOR, the House of Representatives, should not be involved in it. These are people who have no regard whatsoever for auditing, or oversight, or control of spending, or fighting corruptions. They are not, and any cent that will go through them, I have no hopes or expectations that it will deliver something to the local community there that has been suffering for over 50 years of intentional neglect. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Malik, I know the microphone cut you off. Any last word in a few seconds?
I just want to say that I think there's a real opportunity here now in Libya for at least the process of unity to begin. I mean, we're united. We're united as a people because of what happened in Derna, but officials, I don't think anybody believes that they'll be able to unite. But there's an opportunity. So we have an emergency committee appointed by Western Libya and an emergency committee appointed by the East. So I think what we should do as people who want to try to help Libya become a unity government is try to make these emergency committees unify, and they can not with top level officials, but a technocratic or technical team that both sides can agree on, that are capable, that have the know-how, the expertise, and so that can be the beginning. This unified emergency committee can be the process that we can try to move forward and get the legislative houses and the two governments to slowly unify. So I mean, that's where I think on a political level and on a agency level that we should be working on trying to unify that committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik. Thank you, everybody. I think we went overboard with time, but this is an initial conversation that we are kicking off. We will be in touch with some of you who made some excellent points and excellent recommendations today. We would like to take those maybe in writing and deliver them to those who need to hear them, whether the officials here in DC or any other agency. So we'll be in
If
touch.
you
We
don't
appreciate.
mind,
Yes,
1
Dr.
minute.
Mahmoud. Yeah, go ahead.
1 minute.
And mute yourself, Dr. Mahmoud.
Yeah, I thank everybody, and I just want to comment about Dr. Tajuri. I think USAID. I think we have a connection with them in their office in Libya, so we can maybe we will just talk to them and make this contact with you, Dr. Tajuri. If you can send me your contact. And also concerning there is also a NGO, a Libyan NGO working with the USAID, and I think they recognize them as a Libyan NGO. So maybe we can do something together in this thing. And I agree about what Dr. Al-Sayr said, especially his last remarks. They are very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahmoud. Thank
Just
you,
a quick
everybody.
comment.
Dr. Idris, yes.
Yeah, just one quick comment is the importance of the international investigation, because people here don't trust the local investigations due to the political divisions. Also, I just want to mention that the mayor of Derna on the 9th of the month, 2 days before the catastrophe, he held a press conference and asked people to evacuate based on the recommendation of experts. However, the military spokesman at that night, they ordered the curfew and asked people to stay in their houses, and they ordered the curfew since sunset. So that's something that now they try to cover up. They removed, by the way, this mayor is basically was appointed by the military, by Haftar, in place of the elected previous mayor. And now they are making him a scapegoat and removing him, and they burned his house and all of that. And they try to cover up on the fact that they ordered the curfew. They're trying to erase everything about that. Just a quick comment. And people, of course, talk about a lot of theories like what happened in this kind of things. Some people say there was a deliberate act of doing the dam, so that the explosion or something, they hear about it, whether it is done on good intentions to release the water, or on bad intention. People talk about a lot of theories, but unfortunately the political situation is very much charged, and I think there is a need on international pressure to make give this make this as a humanitarian issue, and press all sides just to do something to help people and not to let them control and as they want to. Now they want to kick out all the journalists, all the media, and they want to control people. They are asking people today who go to CERT to just don't even go there, put your stuff and just
Okay,
leave them. Thank you.
Okay. Moji, can you pass my contacts to Jonathan Weiner and to Mr. Tajuri and Mr.
We will.
Will do.
We're
Yes.
coordinating all these efforts as well at the LIA, so we can always, make the connection.
We're here to help. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
شكرا منجي, شكرا إسام, شكرا.
Thank you.
السلام عليكم.
Thank you.